Thank you so much, Maria, for having me.
It's truly an honor. I'll tell you what, this conversation is so crucial. So many people have got questions about the nanotechnology. We know that teams all across the world, La Quinta Columna, many others, Dr. Jane Ruby on the Stu Peters Network has been looking into to some of these findings as well as the Stu Peters Network. I've been looking into it. I know you've been working closely with Dr. David Nixon. For anyone who hasn't seen my latest report with Dr. David Nixon, please go to zmedia.com, go to the interview pages. This nanotechnology is literally looking like it's growing robotic arms, and it's just amazing. So I'm really looking forward to speaking with you. I'd like you to give the audience a little bit of background on you and your experience. And for the rest of this interview, we're going to affectionately refer to you as Dr. Anna, because maybe some people won't be able to pronounce Mihacha properly. But Dr. Anna, you said that you're fine with being called that. So please do take us through a little bit of your history and how you started looking into these things.
Absolutely. So I'm a board certified internal medicine physician. I have a PhD in pathology. And at the beginning of this pandemic, obviously, I was very concerned about medical freedoms, and I started helping people with COVID treatments. And then I became part of different groups that were fighting for ethical freedom, medical freedom, but then really this situation in regards to studying what is the background of this entire pandemic, the transhumanist movement, the fact that we were told that people were going to be transformed into cyborgs, that part of Yuval Harari's, who is Klaus Schwab's very close ally, that he was saying that, the soul and the spirit of human beings will be a thing of the past. So I wanted to really understand more about the broader picture. I myself have written a book called Light Medicine, and I have very much in my research dived into biophysics, quantum physics. How does the brain work? How does our divine spiritual self actually interact with the body? This would be, when people are leaving the body upon death and really hooking into this body while they're alive. There's a lot to it from a different perspective than allopathic medicine is understanding.
I'm so grateful that you bring that up, and I don't mean to cut you off, but just earlier this week we spoke to Karen Kingston, former Pfizer employee. She's a biotech analyst. She's been looking into the quantum dots, the quantum physics side of this. And I think it's an area that a lot of us don't understand. It's certainly an area that most mainstream doctors won't even touch. So I'm so glad that you're going to be speaking to us about this today. But where would you like to start, Dr. Anna?
Anywhere. We can start about, how does the brain actually work and what is known about it? Because you mentioned Karen Kingston and the quantum dots. So how does consciousness actually gets computed in the brain? Well, it turns out that microtubules in our neurons, they're about as small as nano size. And that is where the information of consciousness is being processed. And it turns out that they have been able, through nanocarbon tubes, to mimic microtubules, because carbon nanotubes are exactly the size of microtubules, and you can create processes with these carbon nanotubes when combined with hydrogel that mimic the human brain. In fact, artificial brains have been created from what's called time crystals. So this is a term from quantum computing, and what that is, it's a self-programmable material that has a perpetual motion quality, meaning it doesn't need energy from the outside. It doesn't have any type of chemical reactions, but it has access to all time simultaneous quantum states. And in that, it can compute infinite amount of information, just like the miraculousness of our brain. So it turns out that they, in the Brain Project research, they measured the resonant frequencies of the entire brain and mapped it. And then they created a hydrogel with these carbon nanotubes and time crystals involved that is able to process information similarly to our human brain. And this this technology, part of it was also in Black Project, but part of it has been published. And so it's very important to understand that this technology is very far advanced of what common people or common doctors are understanding. But when we are seeing this nanotechnology that is injected, and I look at it in the context of the information that is being given to us by people like Yuval Harari, who's saying that sensing and surveillance will be under the skin, and that with this technological revolution of the Great Reset, that human brains will be able to be surveilled, and that your thoughts will be able to be surveilled and connected to others as well as connected to the quantum cloud. So how would they do that? What kind of a software platform would they do to hack humans, which they said that this is now their goal, and they called humans hackable.
Hackable
So
animals, in fact, Yuval
hackable,
says.
yes, hackable animals. And so what appears to me to have happened is that this very advanced technology was injected into people via these technological weapons that are called the C19 injectables. They're not vaccines. It has been clearly shown that the manufacture and fraud that's happened is so horrendous that nothing is within the specification that should be in these vials. So we find contaminations, they call it contaminations, but if it is in most of the vials, then I don't think that that's a contamination. It's clearly an intentional act of metals. So what do metals do? Like aluminum, gadolinium, cesium, titanium. Metals have optical and electrical properties that can modulate the frequencies in the body. They have toxicity of their own. If they are nano size, they are much more toxic than micro size. So first off, these are
Sorry,
toxic.
you're saying it's more toxic if it's nano size.
That's right.
How?
So aluminum that is nano size has a greater impact on toxicity than micro size. Part of it is because the nano size is able to penetrate all cell membranes and all biological processes,
Right.
and initiate that toxicity. But the other thing is that these